So today is our last day in my series about the power and control wheel. And the spoke we're dealing with today, minimizing, denying, and blaming. This would be shifting responsibility for any of their abusive behavior. Saying the partner caused it or someone else caused it. Making a light of the abuse, saying that it did not happen. Not taking partners' concerns about abusive behavior seriously. And something I have learned in my personal life is that this is actually one of the easiest red flags to spot once you've allowed yourself to acknowledge that it's always a red flag. Because this is the flag that most abusers will let fly from the very beginning. They'll be talking about their ex, and it's never because of anything they did. They broke up because she was a bitch, because he was crazy. Never because of the person you're speaking to. Maybe if they're a criminal, they'll talk about their crime and somehow it's always someone else's fault. Someone talked them into it. There was a master manipulator involved. It's never their fault. They didn't actually do this thing of their own free will. Or maybe they're talking about a friend and their friend is just too serious and didn't understand that that was just a prank, just a practical joke. And it wasn't actually abusive or anything. It was just a practical joke. So they'll minimize what it was, or they'll say, I never did that. I would never do that. And I hate to say this, but this is one that us victims participate in often ourselves. We, even if the abuser is not doing it actively, we might be doing this, and we might be minimizing the harm they've done to us or the harm they're doing to us. If I were just less sensitive, it's not really that bad. Other people have it worse. That's not what happened. It's my fault. You don't understand. It's really my fault. He was just joking. I mean, it wasn't a funny joke, and it destroyed all my makeup, but it was just a joke. He thought it was just funny. His sense of humor is not mine. Well, it wasn't really grape. That's weird. We're married. He had permission. I just didn't feel like it last night, and I told him I didn't feel like it, and he still did it anyway. And here is a moment where we can talk about reactive violence too, because part of the reason why victims often participate in minimizing, denying, and blaming themselves instead of the actual perpetrator is because we were there. We know that he didn't do that until we had said this, or if we had done it this way, he might have responded that way. We know that there are moments when if that was the moment that got recorded, it would look like we were the ones at fault. And so here's my advice, and it's worth what you paid for it. But if you're in a situation where you're questioning whether your actions are actually abusive, I'm going to suggest you get therapy. Because a therapist can help clarify those things for you, among other things. And if you are an abuser, if you seek out therapy, they can actually help you to think through your thought patterns and help you to get out of that pattern. They can, if you seek them out, wanting to. But I'll also tell you this, if you're in a position where you have gotten to a level of angry fire that you think might be abusive, that is not passion. That is not love. That is an unhealthy relationship. And it might be time to take a step or two back. Now, some relationships might be able to be saved. I am not the one who can say that for you, but both parties have to be willing to work on it in order for it to be saved. So if only one of you is actually going to therapy and actually putting in the work that the therapist is asking for, then the relationship can't be saved. Or if you both go to therapy and one of you comes back from therapy trying to use it on the other one, that's also a sign too. I mean, clearly they're not intending to have the therapy be helpful for themselves. I am a firm believer that if my husband had chosen to work on his part of what was wrong with our marriage, we could have saved our marriage. And yes, I know that's probably a victim mentality or whatever, but I think that if he'd been willing to work on it, our marriage could have survived. He just wasn't. He would go to therapy and come back and try to use those terms to to force me to behave the way he thought that I should behave. And he continued to escalate and get worse and worse.